Recently, we explored the giants in Norse mythology, which can be quite perplexing for some due to their classification as a subrace within another race called the Aesir. Fortunately, in Greek mythology, giants are exactly what their name suggests, giant humanoids known for their destructive nature. In this aspect, they share similarities with their Norse counterparts and have had numerous unfriendly encounters with their traditional deities. This correlation between size and being antagonistic seems to exist in mythological stories, but it's important to note that not all giants were malevolent. The purpose of this video is to examine all aspects of giants, including the good, the bad, and the unusual. Trust me, there are some truly peculiar giants worth exploring. Now, let's delve into the origin of giants and explore who the first giants truly were. It is reasonable to consider that the first giant beings in mythology were either the primordial deities or the Titans. However, there is a distinction between a giant being that possesses divine nature and one that is merely enormous. Divinity often manifests as a special power or quality that sets them apart from humans. Although giants can possess divinity or special gifts, it is much rarer to find such traits in them. The very first giants, as per mythological accounts, were born from the union of Uranus, the sky, and Gaia, the earth. Unfortunately, Uranus and his giant children never shared a close relationship, rather, he regarded them with disgust and disappointment. Gaia gave birth to various sets of children, the original 12 Titans, the Cyclopes, and the Hecatonchires. While the Titans resembled human-looking deities, the Cyclopes and Hecatonchires were markedly different and can be considered the first giants encountered in Greek mythology. The Cyclopes were essentially one-eyed giants, while the Hecatonchires had 50 heads and 100 hands, as their name suggests. The significance of these giants lies in the fact that despite their unconventional appearances, Gaia loved them all the same. However, the real issue arises with Uranus, who found the Hecatonchires so repulsive that he forced them back into their mother's womb after their birth. The Hecatonchires were the first to experience being born twice, a title often associated with Dionysus, who was taken from his mother and later born from Zeus's thigh. Fearing these monstrous beings, Uranus imprisoned both the Cyclopes and Hecatonchires in Tartarus. After Uranus was castrated and Cronus assumed his father's position, Cronus shared his father's disdain for his Titan siblings and the Cyclopes and Hecatonchires. He showed little to no interest in releasing them, leaving them exiled in Tartarus for many years. It is safe to say that the title of Father of the Year is up for discussion here. Uranus despised his children so much that he forced them back into their mother's womb and sentenced them to a life of exile. Similarly, Cronus, fearing the possibility of his own children overthrowing him, resorted to eating them as soon as they were born. Feel free to share your opinion on who deserves the Father of the Year award in the comments below. With the Titans now in power, the Cyclopes and Hecatonchires remained trapped in Tartarus, with little hope of being set free. However, their fortunes changed when Zeus approached them with a proposition. Zeus promised the Cyclopes and Hecatonchires their freedom if they allied themselves with the Olympians in their war against the Titans. Eager for liberation, they joined Zeus and his fellow Olympians in the epic battle known as the Titanomachy. When the Olympians emerged victorious, Zeus honored his word and granted the Cyclopes and Hecatonchires their freedom. The original 3 Cyclopes, skilled craftsmen and weaponsmiths, played a vital role in forging the gods' weaponry, armor, and trinkets. While other Cyclopes emerged later in mythology, they were distinct from those born of Gaia and were less amiable compared to the original 3. If you're interested in a more detailed exploration of the Cyclopes, there is a dedicated video on the channel. The story of the Hecatonchires can be seen as a redemption arc. Initially seen as enormous monsters barely capable of functioning due to their multitude of heads and hands, they were essentially giants composed of smaller organisms. Considering their early lives of being shunned, neglected, imprisoned, and despised by most of their family, it is not surprising that they became the deformities their father believed them to be. However, when given the opportunity, they managed to gather their strength and act in unison. Perhaps the freedom granted by Zeus allowed them to gain control over their bodies and finally act as one entity. Alternatively, the thought of using all 100 hands to hurl giant boulders at their Titan siblings, who had treated them so poorly, served as the motivation they needed. After the Titanomachy concluded, the Cyclopes and Hecatonkars were rewarded for their contributions. They received various gifts, including underwater palaces and the privilege to marry one of Poseidon's daughters. However, it's worth noting that the journey of the giants, especially the Hecatonkars, is an intriguing one that showcases their transformation from outcasts to players in the divine realm. Importantly, the giants would no longer be treated as monsters. In the end, they chose to guard the gates of Tartarus, becoming the prison guards of the Titans, the same siblings they once squashed with giant boulders. This ironic twist sentenced the Titans to the same prison where they had once imprisoned their own kin. The giants, with all 100 of their hands, pointed, laughed, and made gestures of mockery at their fallen foes. However, peace did not reign after the Olympians defeated the Titans. Gaia, the mother of the Titans, sought to restore what she believed to be the natural balance. To achieve this, she gave birth to Typhon, a true monster, in the depths of Tartarus. Typhon's appearance varied in different accounts, but he was commonly depicted as a giant with the torso of a man, enormous wings, and serpents for arms and legs. Some descriptions included 50 serpent heads on each hand and leg, while others portrayed him as an enormous serpent. Regardless, Typhon held a significant role as one of the most influential giants in Greek mythology. Typhon's purpose was clear: to dethrone and destroy the Olympians. Some argue that he was created out of revenge and anger, which explains his monstrous form. Alternatively, his magnitude and dread may have been the only things that could instill fear in the hearts of the mighty Olympians. Typhon's plan initially seemed successful as he pillaged and set fire to their cities, causing the other gods to flee. Only Zeus and a few stragglers remained to face him. In their first encounter, Zeus was defeated, but Typhon chose not to kill him. Instead, he disabled Zeus by slicing his tendons and sinews, leaving him unable to walk and humiliated. Eventually, the gods restored Zeus's strength, and he confronted Typhon once more, emerging victorious. Different accounts place Typhon either in Tartarus with the rest of Gaia's children or buried under Mount Etna, where his attempts to escape were believed to cause volcanic rumblings. Typhon's story may have been a way to explain the destructive nature of volcanoes. Just like Typhon's rampage, volcanic eruptions release heat from the Earth's core to prevent overheating. Once the eruption subsides, the volcanic soil becomes fertile, allowing new life to flourish. Typhon's purpose was not to destroy everything but to symbolize a fresh start or a new beginning. Amidst his mission to dethrone the Olympians, Typhon found time to marry a monster named Echidna, and together they bore numerous monster children, earning him the title Father of all monsters. Typhon's death marked the end of the Titanomachy and the beginning of the Olympian rule. Despite Typhon, the relationship between the giants and the Olympians seemed relatively amicable in the early stages. However, a significant event known as the Gigantomachy, the war between the giants and the gods, would shape their overall hatred towards each other. Unfortunately, there are few written accounts of this event. Instead, ancient paintings, sculptures, and pottery provide visual depictions. Poets and historians such as Xenophon, Apollodorus, and Pindar later offered details of the battle. Pindar mentioned a prophecy foretelling Heracles' involvement in slaying many giants, including the king of giants, Porphyrion, who was killed by Apollo's arrow. The battle involved various Olympian gods fighting against the giants, with Zeus using thunderbolts, Dionysus wielding his ivy staff, and Athena defending herself with her Gorgon-encrusted shield. The reason for the Gigantomachy's outbreak remains unclear in the early sources, as they do not explain the cause of the conflict. However, later interpretations surfaced, suggesting reasons such as Alcyoneus stealing Apollo's cattle, or the giant Geryon raping Hera. Some versions imply that Gaia simply sought further revenge for her children's imprisonment in Tartarus. These reasons align with the vengeful nature of Greek mythology. While Hesiod does not discuss the battle itself, he describes giants as being born ready for battle, contrasting Athena, who was born wielding a sword and shield. This notion of giants being inherently destructive from birth supports the idea of Gaia's continuing revenge fueling the war. The Gigantomache's location is believed to be a peninsula in Macedonia, according to Pindar. The battle often ended with the giants being killed and Gaia's revenge coming to an end. However, it does not mean that she forgave her grandchildren. The ongoing conflict between gods and giants can also be seen as a metaphorical fight against the forces of nature. Although many giants were slain during the Gigantomachy, Porphyrion stood out as the greatest of them all. He was born from Gaia and the blood of Uranus when he was castrated. Porphyrion attacked both Hera and Heracles during the battle, but Zeus, in his peculiar ways, made the giant fall in love with his wife. When Porphyrion attempted to rape Hera, he was struck down by a thunderbolt. Other notable giants who perished include Alcyoneus, who could not die while in his native land, but was finally defeated when dragged outside of his city's borders by Heracles. The war between gods and giants, the constant struggle between the divine and the monstrous, can be equated to the ongoing battle against the forces of nature. The stories of the giants, their conflicts, and their ultimate fates intertwine with the triumph of the Olympians and the acceptance of their rule.